Welcome to a Philatelic walk down Philadelphia's Market Street. This presentation will focus on that portion of Market Street between the Delaware River and City Hall, a length of approximately 2.2 miles. The first cover, which you can see has been somewhat altered, is a beautiful 1890s rendition of Market Street seen from about 6th or 7th Street, looking westward, courtesy of the Weeks Photo Engraving Company. This map is on the reverse of an 1899 cover that was printed for the Golding Company, manufacturers of printing machinery. The red line delineates the route that we will be following as we stroll westward from the Delaware River towards City Hall. Please be advised that the buildings seen in the following covers are not, for the most part, in any sort of chronological order. The Port of Philadelphia was rather bucolic and undeveloped when this engraved letter sheet was produced in 1849. At the time, the skyline consisted mainly of church steeples and low-constructed buildings. A scene such as this was typical of the Philadelphia waterfront from colonial times up until the early 1900s, when Philadelphia was a thriving port city. Produce commission merchants flourished along Water Street, only 1 square away from the Delaware River, as in this 1883 view. In 1901, the Pennsylvania Railroad ferry line, located at Delaware Avenue and Market Street, was the only direct route to cross the river between Philadelphia and Camden, New Jersey. It was not until 1926, when the Delaware River Bridge, now known as the Ben Franklin Bridge, was opened, that the ferry became less essential. Delaware Avenue was also the turnabout terminus for streetcars on Market Street. Weaver and Shandine, purveyors of Garwood's perfumes, seen in this cover from 1884, was located at 106 Market Street, approximately 1 block from the waterfront. Their building is typical of the storefront establishments within this block. This portion of Market Street was demolished in the 1970s as part of the Interstate 95 project. In 1869, J.J. Richardson, located in the same block, was a wholesale merchant of confections and fruits. We can see the bustling activity of horses and wagons in front of his store. The establishment of Moore and Liggett, manufacturers of hosiery, gloves, and embroidery, was located in the next block at 233 Market Street, located on the north side of the street. The secondary address of 222 Church Alley was a small street at the rear of their building. It bore the name Church Alley because it abutted upon the property of historic Old Christ Church. This 1887 view of Seedsman Johnson and Stokes's building was located just down the street from Moore and Liggett at 219 Market. The rear of their building was also located on Church Street, formerly dubbed Church Alley. The inset to the right is a much more recent view of this lovely Italianate building that has been repurposed into fashionable stores. The docketing on this cover's front reveals a year date of 1862. The W.S. Stewart Company auction house, seen on the envelope's reverse, was located at 305 Market. The building appears to be quite decrepit, and the artist's rendering does nothing to make it look more presentable. In the late 18th and early 20th centuries, the homes of such distinguished families as the Wistars and the Gratzes graced the 400 block of Market Street. When these families moved to more spacious quarters, businesses such as Hess, Rogers, and Chambers gained hold of the properties and converted them into factories and stores. Strangely, the sender of this cover added an extra piece of a 3-cent pictorial stamp that paid the postage. No, this usage is not a bisect. The Blood's penny post adhesive on this cover dates it to the early 1850s. In 1854, the consolidation of the city of Philadelphia resulted in a radical change in all street numbers. The fine engraving in the image on the cover's reverse allows us to see within the interior of druggists and chemists Russell and Schott's establishment located at 138 Market. After the 1854 consolidation, their updated street number of 138 would have been located somewhere around the 500 block of Market. This large advertisement for Ashton's Cash Clothing Store was actually a stampless folded letter that went through the mails in 1849. The ad touts the many positive reasons for purchasing clothing from them on a cash basis. Ashton's address at 156 would probably equate to a post-1854 number in the 500 block of Market Street. Whalen & Company's multi-story building, located at 213 Market, can be seen in this cameo on the left from the 1850s. In 1864, the same building seen in the cameo to its right, now the property of A.H. Franciscus, bears the address change of 513 Market. This beautiful multicolored cover from 1904 illustrated George Mousley's Cash House, located in the 500 block of Market Street. Mousley was an importer and jobber of dolls, fireworks, and other assorted goodies. Market at 6th Street, looking east, was an extremely busy intersection in this turn-of-the-century postcard. Although possibly staged for the photograph, it does illustrate the bottleneck of horses and carriages ever present at this thoroughfare. In 1858, C.H. Garden, a purveyor of hats, caps, and all sorts of bonnets, was located on the southwest corner of 6th and Market Streets, seen in the cover on the left. By 1875, the business had witnessed exceptional growth, and had moved 3 buildings west, down the street to bigger and better headquarters at 606 and 608 Market, as seen in the cover to the right. The famous J.B. Lippincott & Company, a giant among publishing firms, was located in the 700 block of Market Street at numbers 715 and 717, as seen in this cover from 1869. 3 decades later, the Great Fire of 1899 decimated nearly one-half of this block of Market Street, resulting in Lippincott's loss of $400,000 worth of their valuable electrotype plates, equivalent to almost $135 million today. In the early 1900s, the entire north side of the block, between 7th and 8th Streets, was a conglomeration of buildings that made up the massive Litt Brothers department store. The store's slogan was, "A great store in a great city," and it was celebrated for its millinery department. Litt's closed in 1977, and in 1989, the property was known as the Mellon Independence Center. In 2013, it was officially named Market Street East. The building remains as the only cast iron facade in Philadelphia. For the sum of 3 cents postage, this large envelope carried a catalog from the Strawbridge and Clothier department store. The business, founded in 1868, was one of the foremost of its kind in the city, located on the entire north side of Market, between 8th and 9th. Strawbridge's became defunct in 2006, having been acquired by Macy's. The image on this lettersheet from 1931 illustrated the massive Gimbel's department store, located on the south side of Market Street between 8th and 9th. The company, founded in 1887, was liquidated in 1987, having survived for 100 years. During its heyday, the store was home to radio station WIP. WIP Radio is alive and well today as a sports venue. Of philatelic interest, for many years Gimbel's proudly housed its own stamp and coin department. All that remains of the property today is a parking lot. Once an old mansion, complete with mansard roof, the outside of Gould's Furniture Store, located on the northeast corner of 9th and Market in 1889, was bedecked in such a gaudy fashion that it would certainly have been most offensive to Philadelphia's founding fathers. Located on the south side of Market, between 9th and 10th Streets, Robert Buist's 4-story warehouse, established in 1828, and seen in this circa 1870s cover, boasted seeds that were of superior quality and vitality. The cover's reverse illustrated the frenzy of its interior activity. This rare double cameo billhead from 1865 showed the massive drug and paint warehouse of French, Richards and Company, located at 10th and Market. In 1857, Samuel French joined forces with W. H. Richards, forming a business that lasted until 1891. Thereafter, a merger with Mahlon Smith and Mahlon Klein, also druggists, produced the firm of Smith, Klein, and French. Identical images of the mansion house are seen on these 2 early hotel covers. The original building, erected in 1812, marked the site of the oldest hotel in Philadelphia. In 1853, the hotel, located on the southeast corner of 11th and Market, was attached to the Pennsylvania Railroad station. Just after the Civil War, the mansion house was renamed the United States Hotel. 20 years later, it was totally remodeled and renamed the Bingham House, a view of which is seen on the left. In 1903, the Bingham was again totally gutted and renamed the New Bingham. Experiencing a gradual decline, the hotel was demolished in 1923 to make way for the glitzy Earl Theater movie house. The reverse of an 1870 cover illustrates the Stephen F. Whitman and Son Chocolate Company, located on the southwest corner of 12th and Market. The company was founded in 1842. Its industry was candy and chocolate, and its headquarters have remained in Philadelphia. In 1962, the firm was acquired by the Pet Milk Company and renamed the Whitman's Chocolates Division. In 1993, the business was sold to Russell Stover Chocolates Incorporated, who continues to market the Whitman's brand. On January 27, 1893, the Harrisburg and Shamokin Express pulled out of the Reading terminal at exactly 4 o'clock a.m., being the first train to leave the station. Over the next 91 years, an estimated 8 million people shuttled through its doors. The last train left the shed in November 1984. The building is now part of the Philadelphia Convention Center. The northeast corner of the building currently sports a huge neon guitar, proclaiming the Hard Rock Cafe located within. The thriving Reading Terminal restaurant, also extant since 1893, is advertised on this cover that was backstamped in 1906. The Great Western Hotel, seen on this cover circa 1878, was surely frequented by travelers coming from near and far. Advertised as being open all night, its busy 5-story facade is seen in this view. The hotel had a bed capacity of 240 and cost $2 per night, equivalent to $55 today. In 1876, John Wanamaker opened his Grand Depot on the site of a freight terminal. Built in sections, it encompassed the entire block between 13th to Broad and from Market to Chestnut. It was the first commercial establishment to be lighted entirely by electricity. By 1910, the Grand Depot, seen in the inset, was demolished as the new John Wanamaker store was built. In 1997, Wanamaker's was sold to Lord & Taylor, and in 2006, to its current owner Macy's. Although an 1886 advertising cover for the Craig Finley printing firm, this cover well illustrates Philadelphia's magnificent City Hall. Begun in 1872, and built on the site of a former hanging gallows, public square, and Center City Waterworks, City Hall was completed in 1887. Created by master sculptor Alexander Milne Caldwell, the massive statue of William Penn was placed on public display in City Hall courtyard in 1893, and raised to the top of its tower the following year. The statue is 37 feet in height and weighs almost 27 tons. The almost 2.2-mile view of East Market Street, taken from City Hall, can be seen on this postcard from 1913. Once a busy, prosperous, and progressive district, it has, due to the advent of the suburban mall, undergone years of turmoil. However, there is yet hope for this great street's eventual revival. Thank you for joining me on this walk along Philadelphia's Market Street East.